All right,
Perfect.
here they come.
Okay. Hello. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
We all here, present and
Morning.
accounted for. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm going to tell you, this is being recorded, as you probably saw at the top of your screen. That's my job to tell you that. Because it's being recorded, you may turn on or off your camera as you see fit. I am going to tell you that as somebody who watched their kid go through COVID and Zoom school, uh, personally, I like to see people's faces and their facial expressions when I say something weird or stupid. So that helps inform how I say things. So if you want to turn on your camera, I encourage you to do that. Uh, Obviously, you don't have to. Um, So my name is Todd. The super fast introduction. I've been an instructional designer 20 years. Prior to that, I taught high school for 10 years. I've taught for 20 years at the community college and up to graduate level here in Washington. And I am very interested in the modern situation I find myself in my work around our faculty. And I believe in talking to many others across the US and abroad, uh, it's a challenge to find, reach, get faculty into a particular space. What this is not is like faculty bashing because I'm stressed. I mean, we are all overloaded. The university has a ton of pressure on faculty, as it almost always has. So this is all about bettering our communication and our ability to learn from one another than it is about like literally the faculty have disappeared and Todd doesn't know where they are. Um, what I would like to see, if you can, here in Zoom, just so we can get a taste of who's in this space, is I mean, like I'm an instructional designer, but I still teach, right? So, but who in this room is a faculty and who is a uh, instructional designer like consultancy type of person? If you could put that in the chat or whatever you want. I'm just interested in kind of who I'm talking to, right? Uh, okay, very good. So it looks like even if everybody else, yeah, a lot of people in the same position as me, great. Okay, great. Um, Excellent. Thank you. Uh, well, hello from Hawaii. Nice. So I'm not going to, this is supposed to be a discussion, right? So when I signed up to do this, it was a discussion. If I would have had all the answers, I would have signed up for a thing called a presentation. Just so you know, I haven't used AI in a thing I've said yet, and I don't even have a PowerPoint, right? So it is supposed to be a discussion. I know Zoom land. I know everybody's schedule. I know that a lot of times we're doing 8 different things. Like I promise I'll try not to look at my phone while I'm speaking, but I know that's really hard in today's world. So what I want to offer are some questions that we can kind of wonder about, and maybe as many of you must know, as all of you instructional designers folks, um, I entered into this space when there was standing room only at every training we did. Like 20 years ago, everybody needed to know how to teach online. Everybody was anxious about it. They were just going to take their jobs and they didn't know what they were doing. And so it was really fascinating. And there were tons of people uh, needing help, right? Today, 20 years later, we've all got better at clicking the buttons. We all know more about what we're doing, and it's good. And then along comes the things like AI or accessibility or what the universal design. I mean, all the things that have come in. not to mention funding, not to mention disappearance of grants, not to mention all the other class size, all the other stresses that have impacted all of our jobs in one way or another. Um, so it's not just the faculty that have gone, it's like the staff too. Um, I I think it was last year, but probably the year before, I did a presentation here at the ELCC that was titled, I think, "Where Has My Community Gone?" And it was literally about the loss of Twitter, the loss of all my colleagues who now all work from home mostly. And it for me personally, it was devastating. Still is, because it still feels empty. And what I would love to share are a couple ideas I have, but most importantly, I want to hear your ideas about how to connect with faculty so that we can help them at whatever level they need, right? Whether it's technical support or pedagogical trickery or whatever it is, how do we help them feel not only capable and competent with accessibility, for example, which is our current great challenge, that and AI, I guess. But um, yeah, so how do we better do things in our work that reach the people in a meaningful way, the faculty in a meaningful way, so that they feel supported and feel like they're getting a big hug rather than a bunch of policy hit over the top of the head. So that's why I'm here. Again, I signed up to do a discussion, so I'm going to expect that you will live up to coming to a discussion by participating if you wish. Um, and I'll just stop and say, anybody who has a question, you can raise your hand and then I'll call on you given how many people are here. Or you can just be super daring and just unmute or turn on your camera. And if you have any initial thoughts before we try to like maybe pinpoint things, let's do that. Any questions? Any ideas that are working? I've never been good at like the pregnant pause thing, so I have to hear something. So does anybody have, okay, Sarita, let's go.
Uh, I it's not exactly a question, but the way like I've recently joined a university and then there's mergers going on between teams and stuff. And so basically the faculty when they come as an SME to us, they obviously always say that, oh, we're busy with this. But then my concern comes when we need content from them that needs to be more accessible or needs to be more for quality purposes. They do not come back to us on those kind of like. So I understand like the faculty is busy and the faculty has a lot more on their plate than we can possibly imagine. But my what I was hoping to get was how can we convince or how can we get them on board with especially the ADA guidelines coming up right now? How do we get them on board to be more participant in this?
Yeah, it's super good question, right? We have so many little things going on here with ways to do that, whether it's web pages or workshops or student workers doing content. I mean, we're trying, I think, to address it from a variety of levels. But I think one of the things I heard in your question wasn't about turning an inaccessible PDF into something that's going to work better, but that the faculty are just sort of expecting you maybe to put it into their class and then they just go on with their lives and it's the
They
whole thing
basically
is
come to us
over.
like they basically come to us like a help desk.
Right. Right.
So that becomes an issue because it's a help desk, and then the say on the matter itself like comes down. It's a university across. It's not like I'm specifically talking about, and of course I'm new to the department, so I should not be like saying this is the fact. I'm probably just like getting to learn the ways, but um, that has been the experience for me so far, and I just wanted to understand if there's a better way for me to approach and get them on board.
Anybody have any ideas for Sarita? I do, but it's a discussion, so let's go. Yeah. So I'm going to give you Todd's groovy answer to this. And what I've learned is there are two sort of different versions of what instructional designer people do. One is the content creator-ish person who helps faculty build like a whole course and does all the captioning to the videos and the organization of all the things, and they build courses and then they ship them off to the person and then go on to the next faculty. That is common among a lot of universities, and it definitely is where the origins probably of instructional design started. I have not ever had that kind of instructional design position, even though I have built courses from the ground up with multiple faculty. I've definitely built all kinds of content with and for them. My job is more to, or the way I see it, is to get them to do the work so I don't have to. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but I feel like many of these things are skills that teachers need today to be effective teachers. And so what I want them to do is feel empowered to do these things on their own if they're able to do that. Time, skills, technical skills. Here's my answer though to your question is I would begin, and this is a long process. Oh, Brenda Boyd, how nice. Wow. Let's admit her. Um, uh, Developing relationships with faculty at any level beyond email correspondence, if you're able, is super helpful. Whatever it is that you do, hearing their voice on the phone, meeting them somewhere on campus or in their office. I can't tell you how well known I am here and at my former place to just wandering around campus looking for faculty just to say hi to them. And I know that doesn't seem like Todd's really being a efficient worker person, but I can't tell you how many times I walk into those offices and instead of like, oh, hey, how's your day going or whatever, that usually happens, they say, I was going to email you the other day about something, something, something. And that brings up something. And I never am happy with just answering a question. I have to ask more questions and wonder more deeply about what they're doing. So that leads us to other things. And it's all because instead of just receiving their thing and making it work and then sending it back, which I may or probably do, but I'm also pretty aggressive with reaching out to them in a variety of ways. So, Sarita, that would be one thing if you're able in your work environment to do that. I know if you're working remote, that's harder. I mean, there's a lot of constraints to what I just said, right? But I was just in a session about email, and I'm just like, man, I'm not sure email is working for Todd anymore. So I would say that any way you can connect with them over the phone or whatever to hear a voice, to me personally, is more rewarding. And I mean, I know that's very selfish, but I feel like it makes me feel better about doing the work I do. That help a little bit? Any other ideas from our discussion here, our group that is a discussion?
I'm going to jump in. I like what you said about having the faculty do the work so that you don't have to. And I know you don't mean that you want to be lazy, but take accessibility as a perfect example. do you want to be the person that just makes every single course, like you're just swamped with course after course after course of going through and making sure that everything's accessible? Or do you want to train the faculty, show them how to do it right so that it's done right the first time, and you're just kind of giving it once over to make sure, like, yeah, I give the thumbs up, or hey, here's a couple more things to tweak. So I really like that aspect of, you know, take the opportunities to teach the faculty and everyone that you work with about what should be done the right way so that they're learning themselves.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know, I mean, that is not how some units operate, right? Like that's just not the culture, that's not what they do. I feel like that's a missing piece of the instructional designer work sometimes, you know? I mean, I feel very fortunate that when I was hired 20 years ago as an instructional designer, I was the first one the university or the school, community college had. When I came here 10 years ago, I was the first one they had. So I've sort of been able to craft that space a little bit on my own. And I just like talking to people. I mean, that's why I got into teaching was mostly to talk about to people, not about high school English stuff, you know.
I had one more question in that, now that
Yes.
you're telling me. So the department does put forth trainings for the faculty to teach, and they do have trainings, but then who is who is in charge for accountability? Like you teach them, but who is monitoring them if they're doing it? Or who, I mean, it's not like we are pull model policing or something, but then if somebody comes to us for help and then we kind of like tell them, hey, this is what you need, we teach them what to do, and then what? Like, how do we monitor the quality that comes out? How do you monitor if the accessibility guidelines have been met? So that is where my confusion is. It's not about teaching them. It's not about them doing what, what's the right thing to do. But then, like, there is no person or no department that is accountable to see the quality measures, to see if the accessibility issues are being met. So that is where my issue comes with. Like, should that be me? Should that be another department? Me in the sense like the ID department, or like would that be another complete department that needs to be set up? Like what exactly is this going to look like in future?
Anybody want to participate? Take that question on? All right, I'm gonna kind of share what Brenda Boyd might say, given her position or where I know her from mostly. So, improvement is like an iterative process, right? Yes, you can make something better, and that's great, but rarely is it ever as good as it could be. And so we're going to make it even better the next time we revisit it. So, and then teaching that might be called like feedback. It's, you know, if you just turn the paper in and it's over and done, sure, we'll give you a passing grade or whatever. But really, there's more, there's could be more of a story there if you wanted to engage it. So with faculty that get courses, and I'm sure all of you have seen this, you know, here's your template course for class number 3, and it's amazing. All the pieces work, but the person who gets charged to drive it doesn't know how to drive yet, or at least not very well. So there's pieces of the course that while we think, and maybe all the students think are brilliant and great, oftentimes they're given to somebody who just simply can't handle that car, right? Like, and that's not their fault. They're on a path of learning too, but at that moment in time, they don't know how to make it operate. So what do? We call them and we're like standing right next to them on that journey, right? So, I mean, honestly, like I feel like at this point in time, the only thing I have to offer any faculty anymore is my presence. Like I am willing to be there with them when they need help. And so I try really hard to think that, uh, or to be that person who will be seen as somebody who they can kind of lean on when they need help, right? Um, but you asked about kind of I think we are sort of transactional, and I don't mean just instructional designers or anybody, but a lot of our work is very like, you give me this, I'm going to give you that, and we're done, right? I don't like that. Like, I want to hang out with you. I know maybe not be your friend, like we're going to hang out all the time, but I think that developing that sort of a relationship lets you see that product you created on a longer trajectory that hopefully will find that it also can be improved in some manner, you know? So I think that's what I would say. Yeah, you don't, Hannah, I think once I'm seen as like the police person, my opportunity for a relationship with them is completely gone. And right now, it's particularly tenuous with the ADA stuff because the administration is saying you're going to be sued. And I'm like, hey, let's just improve and get better. So let me help. And so I feel like they're worried in a way, and that comes back to me as Todd's just going to look in the class and tell me I'm a failure, and I'm not like that. Um, yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. Any other questions or thoughts? I'm going to remind you yet again, we have like 40 minutes left, and this is a discussion, or 30 minutes left. It is a discussion which people ask questions and talk back and forth. So if you want to ask a question, this is the time. Yeah, Christine, I wish I felt like leadership sets the culture for teaching. I'm not sure that I don't know that leadership is what I've always dreamt leadership would be uh, in this day and age. Um, yeah. Yeah, I love building community and building groups of people. In fact, let me see here. This is funny, Brenda. I don't think I knew you were going to be here, but no, no, it's not in this one. Sorry. Um, Before we go, actually, let's begin with tactics, like things we can do that we are aware of that might help build community, might help build relationships, might help reach out to the audience that we feel for whatever reason isn't around like they used to be. What are some simple things that we can do to make that happen?
Can, can I jump in? I'll just share some from my experience. So I was with faculty similar, but over 30 years, right? And it gets hard because they are disappearing. But I love what a lot of you have shared, and I call it my little A for advocacy. And I love how you shared that you have to make those relationships. So I learned a long time ago as an instructional designer, like we can stay in our silo and do the work. They can bring all the stuff to us. We can create things, give it back to them. But the real magic happens when you make those relationships and get them to see from your lens. They don't know what we do. They still don't. Everybody always asks me, what do you do? I'm not doing that work right now. I'm more administrative, so I hear the leadership side. But I think the work that I was able to do that I'm most proud of was making those relationships. And one tactic that I used was you need to find those who connect with you and make them the advocate. So my small advocacy, the little time that I took each week, like to walk around and be a friend, be a voice, stand next to them, show up at their meeting, in their office, in their spaces, made seated people that were really intent on their work became mentors in their own area. And so for one of the tactics I try to do is hit up all the different areas, right? So you get that one faculty that's really into it, they want to do it with you, but you gotta bring in more. And it's still hard because the workload is heavy now. Now they feel policed. Now they have all these policies on them that weren't there before, right? But I think those people that we seeded a long time ago, they're still there. the voice is still there, the intention is that they show up at the workshop, they'll take it back, and they started to create communities of practice. I mean, I can't say enough about that community that was said there. It's so important because that's the longevity that I see now. And I still have those ones that were like not trusting in the beginning, coming back to ask questions and to take it back because they're seen as the one that will bring back the knowledge, right? They're trusted by their other faculty. They'll bring back what needs to happen. So one tactic, but you got to be the person, right? There's still that person touch. So that personal touch. Okay, I'll be quiet.
I mean, I think part of this whole thing for me is that personal touch feeling. And we live in a time that is so hard to do that, right? And I guess that's what my question with this whole discussion is like, how do we reach those people? And so one of the things I heard you say, I think, is that highlighting faculty work, because to me, my job, honestly, even as a high school English teacher, was my goal was to not be needed anymore, right? And I feel like I feel the same way about this work. Is I don't want to be the person they need. I want them to be able to do all this themselves, right? And to that end, you're absolutely right. They're not going to listen to the silly instructional designer guy, but they are going to listen to their neighbor in their office who they respect because they've known him for 15 years, right? So I think that's a yeah. No, I know. Believe me. I want to tell stories. My boss wants numbers. I don't know. I don't know how to fix that, right? Like it's so weird. Like, well, what are you doing? I'm like, well, go ask the faculty. I'm not going to self-evaluate my work. That's not a good way to evaluate things anyway. Go ask the people that you're talking to. Okay, so highlighting faculty work. So absolutely, that is a great one. Other ideas and you could highlight the faculty work in a variety of ways. You could make a video interviewing them. You could have them write a few things. You could, take a part of the course or something they do particularly well and put it in a space that others could view it. If they make rubrics really great, you could share the rubrics in a place that other people could access them, right? So highlighting faculty work in some way, shape, or form, and then kind of spraying it all over the people in a way that saturates them or connects with them in some way. Yay for that one. All right. Other ideas? Okay. Here's mine. This is so I thought, and this was back in the day when things seemed new. If I just sent everybody a short video, like literally a short one, and we even knew back then that like 3 minutes was max, right? What if the video was less than a minute, but it said something important? And what if you didn't do it just this coming Monday, but the Monday after that, and the Monday after that, and the Monday after that, so that people expected the short video on Monday mornings? And what if they liked the videos? What if they provided them with a momentary glimpse of something that they might be able to use? Well, I could only keep it up for about 48 weeks, as it turns out. But this was super useful. So in today's world, these things might be about accessibility, or who knows. This was back for me, Blackboard days. Now we do Canvas. But, I think that there's the repetition is something that is useful in course design. It's useful in our daily lives. That's why I wake up at the same time every day. Like having repetition is a good thing. And it's super short. Like it's literally using 57 seconds as part of a marketing ploy, So give them something every week. And we don't know, right? Again, to Sarita's point, like, is it really improving the product? Who knows? But I know anecdotally that faculty loved those things for as long as they came out. And so that's a way you can reach them. It's not like giving them a hug. It's not like having a coffee with them, but you're reaching them. I literally sent them out we had this thing like that just went to all faculty. They're the emails you don't read, right? Or at least I don't read. Like all the faculty get the new update about like the lawn is being mowed next door next week. So I would just use that and send out an email every Monday morning. And I had no plan when I started. None. Other than trying to keep the video 57 seconds, which was impossible. So they're all like around a minute. But if the titles are important. If the title or subject line in the email is funny enough, people might read it. And if it's something that they remember from last week or a month ago, they might like that. So, yeah. So that's one hint I have for getting information out that might work in some limited or long-term space. Any other ideas? How do we reach these people that just may or may not be around us as much as they used to? No? Okay, I'm going to go again if nobody else is.
Todd, I have an idea.
Okay, that's good. I want to hear it. Let's hear it. Sorry. Let's go.
I work at a Big Ten institution in the Center for Teaching and Learning. And one of the things that we have done is I started an educator affiliates program. So this is completely opt-in. It's just like raise your hand and say that you want to be a part. It is essentially a functional community of practice. But what we noticed was that our institution was leaning really heavily on folks being passionate about teaching and learning and then asking them to go above and beyond their job duties and helping bring other people along. And that labor wasn't really being acknowledged or valued in any way. And so I said, hey, we should value and acknowledge this labor in some way. I have no money, but what I do have is, yeah, totally, is I have space and I have the capacity to hold that space for people. And I'll bring pastries and coffee and let's get together and talk about what's working and what's not working and celebrate and ideate together. And so we have a really diverse set of roles. So at our institution, we have all the versions of faculty members, but we also have academic specialists who have teaching appointments and curriculum development appointments. We have graduate teaching assistants and undergraduate learning assistants. We have staff who are engaged in teaching and learning. And so it's a really diverse group. And the way that they come together in appreciation of just like having a space where they can be seen and heard for caring about teaching and learning has resulted in a really lovely community where people feel like they can call on each other in or out of the times we come together formally. And it's created this really lovely network where if someone comes to me as a member of the Center for Teaching and Learning, and I am not equipped to meet their request. So for example, my teaching experience is in smaller courses of 40 students and under, but we have classes of like 700 students at our institution. I can't really speak. Amen, Brenda. The power of pastries and coffee. I can't really speak to those, but because of the affiliates program, I have a network of people who are actively doing that and are excited about connecting with other educators. And so this is essentially like the only cost has been my time. But it's created this really kind of like a powerhouse network of people who care about each other, who care about teaching and learning, and who are really excited to kind of extend a hand to other educators who are needing support or celebration. So that's a move we made mainly because I had a lot of cool people that I wanted to hang out with and I needed an excuse. And then it's just evolved into this really amazing resource for everyone.
That's awesome. Tell me this. So you meet physically or via Zoom or both, or
Both.
what's the communication way
I love that. Yeah, so we have a Teams team. So we're a Microsoft campus, so we have a Microsoft team channel that we do like in between sessions if somebody wants to share out ideas or questions or like, hey, I'm having a thing, can you promote it? We do have like a communication protocol. So like people can say action requested, action required, or an FYI. So FYI is like, here's a heads up for this cool article, for example. Action requested would be like, I'm hosting this thing. It's open to everyone. Please share it with your networks. Action required is most often by me as the facilitator saying like, hey, please let me know if you're coming so that I can get enough coffee and pastries for everyone. Are you gluten free? So we have that as kind of like a constant asynchronous space. And then we meet I'm going to say we meet in a blended way. So we either meet completely in person or completely online. I work remotely, so online's really nice for me. My commute to my institution is like 3 hours round trip. And I have two tiny people, so that makes that hard. So on a more regular basis, we meet virtually, but we have like quarterly gatherings that are longer on campus. And it's very playful. So I had like our last in-person gathering was one's coming up. The last one we had was between after Thanksgiving, before the end of the year. And we had a session all about gratitude and we wrote thank you cards and we did a gratitude paper chain. It was very like low risk, just come together and be present. But then people kept emailing me about it for like a month afterwards about how great it was. So we do like a both and so that as many folks who can participate in a single moment are able. So we kind of mix it up.
How do you get the information from your community to the broader community of the university or beyond the university itself? Do you have a platform for that yet? Or
yeah. So we have something called, so I'm at Michigan State. We have something called the I Teach MSU Commons. It's a part of the Knowledge Commons network. So we have I Teach MSU, iteach.commons.msu.edu, which is a community generated platform. So it actually started before we had a Center for Teaching and Learning. Anyone with a net ID through our university can contribute to it. It's specifically targeted around teaching and learning practices. So people can kind of we haven't had any issues, knock on all the things, with people using that for like malicious intent or otherwise unintended sharing. So yeah, we ask people to put things into kind of a category that are related to the TPAC framework. And then they can share things out. So we have that space for like reflective practice and artifact sharing and announcements. And so we might prompt folks to either we generate something as a collective and then share it, or I'll encourage folks to share out individually, like, that was a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Here are the notes I took. Why don't you use those as like a reminder for yourself to like write a reflection on I Teach. And that's pretty lovely because then we have this public facing platform so anyone can access that, but only people with an MSU Net ID can contribute to it. So we have easy URLs that we can send out, and we include those in our monthly like CTL newsletters. And sometimes those get referenced in correspondence or communications from like the office of the provost as well.
So trying to get Communities of practice, still a thing, right? We all like being in a group, whether it's a classroom with students or a group of faculty or whatever around a common goal. That's another strategy, right? Getting those together today, literally when so many faculty are not as present as they were physically on campus, might have to move in some other space. I'm going to put 2 links in the chat right now. Both of these are pretty amazing, I think. One of them, like McKenna was speaking to, is a community of practice that I've been in here for 9 years around teaching and learning on the open web. It's amazing. Like, tell me about a community at a university that's been together as a small group for 9 years, right? And wait till you look, just scroll through the posts, wait till you see who we've had visit us. It's like ridiculous. The second one is sort of an offshoot of that, where I love working with the faculty here, but in my time, I've learned that I like some other people too, and they're often not in the US. So we started a thing around creative pedagogies with some faculty at the University of Glasgow 3 years ago. Last year, we had some people also from the University of South Africa. So how do you craft a little community with no money? Because that's another thing that's common with all this is like, I didn't have any money, right? How do you do that? So that first link goes to the website that literally Todd pays for every month or year for hosting. But as you noted, URLs and titles are important, right? Like Ford.com was a good move on Ford's part to get Ford.com rather than, some other longer URL, right? So anyway, the second one there is kind of that offshoot around creative pedagogies. Interestingly enough, and you had talked about sharing it, like not just with the group, but somehow outside. One of the things that the first year, one of the faculty and I wrote about like what to do at the beginning of class, and we submitted that to Faculty Focus. And Faculty Focus printed the article. Yay for us, yay for her being Scottish and, having some US group do some stuff. So I feel like yes to the communities, yes to, at this point, struggling to bind them together in some fashion with the hope that the information goes beyond the group itself out into the wherever else people might look at teaching stuff. And that's a good thing. So that's another strategy. And now we got 7 minutes left for our discussion. I still, as you can imagine, have more ideas, but I think it's important to let the group speak or ask questions. So the tool, yeah. So the second one is literally my personal account in Google Sites. I don't know if you know Google Sites, Kristen, but you can add people and it can be private or public, or it's got some controls. The first one, it's not really the tool is just WordPress. We put stuff on WordPress and it's just a website, right? So, we were really good note takers. Now less so during our meetings. We don't post like thoughts and discussions as much. But the first one is just WordPress. And I mean, I literally pay for it. So there you go. But I pay for the cookies for the Canvas coffee and cookies thing too, because you got to have there's some rule about how many people and how long the event is. And I don't care. I'm spending $30 on cookies. I don't give a shit. Any other ideas? What about what we're doing right now? What about right now? This is a way that we can share our experiences. So being an active participant in a discussion and being somebody who sends in a proposal about how important it is that we give each other hugs in our workspace and think we're a group, right? You can do that. There's conferences all over. You can support the mission of being present as often as possible. The challenges we're facing, it's a rough time in education land, for sure. Honestly, I'm going to put 2 more links in the chat. Sorry, they're just these long, weird things. Brenda, you're in the first one, if you're still here. At least a link to something where you were at. But I've definitely gone from like presenting about things around teaching, like for like I think 3, 4 years, every presentation I've done has been about communities and really focusing on like what does it mean to be that in a classroom, in a learning community, as part of a team, right? So this was for the Quality Matters Instructional Design Association group. But this one is one of my actual favorites because I think it tells a good story, and I really tried hard back in the day, and it has been updated, which I just love. So if you scroll down to the bottom of the second one, it's like I updated it as my sadness and grief evolved. So anyway, yeah, we are all able to sell this message of being present and it just in our daily lives. Later today, in fact, in an hour and 12 minutes or whatever, I'm going to lunch with our new Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs, who just got here last September. And I was in a meeting with him one time and I said something about bicycling. He's like, oh, I bike. And so I asked him if he wanted to go bike. I am a dumb instructional designer at a low, low level at this university. I've spent more time with our Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs probably than most anybody else, just out on bike rides talking about our family. But I'm going to lunch with him in like an hour and a faculty member who also I've been biking with. And so my goal, subversively, is to go on a biking trip with both of them and just see what happens because we're all in the same boat and we're all trying to do the same thing, right? And I feel like I'm more a part of it when I'm close to people, whether it's on bicycles or in a room or whatever. So it's very exciting. So I think that one thing we can all do is just participate, right? And not give up and all that sort of stuff. We have 2 minutes left. I know that, I'm sorry, what is your name again? You're super nice that you're.
Me?
Yeah, yeah.
I go by Mouse.
Mouse. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Right.
I know that you had a form to fill out. Yes, there you go.
Little survey right there. Thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah, yep. Thank you. And thank you for being here and participating, offering that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we literally have 2 minutes. It's probably good to just end at 2 minutes early, but I would like to thank all of you for being present in this space. Brenda Boyd, it's great to see you too. Brenda's somebody I have only met at one conference probably 12 years ago, but we've interacted for probably 20 years. So on the internet and stuff. Yeah, thanks for being here. Don't give up hope. Reach out to those people. We all need hugs these days. So let's be that.
Thank you, Todd.
Yep. Thanks. See ya.